Hello and welcome. Take a deep breath, relax your mind, and get ready to listen. This is your English listening practice. Speak slowly in your mind and try to understand every word. Let's begin. Today, I want to tell you about a simple trip to the market. It was not a special day, but it became an interesting experience. In the morning, I looked into my kitchen. I noticed something important. There were very few vegetables. The fridge was almost empty. I needed to buy food. So I decided to go to the market. I made a small list: tomatoes, potatoes, onions, milk, and some fruits. I like to make a list. It helps me remember things. After that, I got ready. I wore comfortable clothes. I took my bag, and I left my home. The weather was warm, not too hot, but not very cool. The streets were busy. People were walking quickly. Some were going to work. Some were already shopping. The market was not very far, so I decided to walk. As I walked, I looked around. I saw small shops. I saw people talking. I heard different sounds: cars, voices, and footsteps. After a few minutes, I reached the market. It was full of life. There were many shops, many people, and many colors. The vegetable section was very bright. I saw fresh tomatoes, red and shiny. I saw green vegetables and yellow fruits. Everything looked fresh. I walked slowly. I didn't want to hurry. I wanted to choose good items. First, I stopped at a vegetable shop. I picked some tomatoes. I checked them carefully. Not too soft, not too hard, just perfect. Then I bought potatoes and onions. The shopkeeper smiled. He looked friendly. We talked for a moment. Simple words, simple conversation. After that, I moved to the fruit section. There were many options: apples, bananas, oranges. I chose some bananas and apples. They looked fresh and sweet. While walking, I noticed something: a small shop selling snacks. I felt a little hungry, so I stopped there. I bought a small snack. It was simple, but very tasty. Sometimes small food gives big happiness. I sat for a minute. I watched people around me. Everyone was busy. Everyone had something to do. Some people were talking loudly. Some were bargaining. Some were laughing. The market was full of energy. After my short break, I continued shopping. I went to buy milk. Then I checked my list again. Tomatoes, done. Potatoes, done. Onions, done. Fruits, done. Milk, done. Everything was complete. I felt satisfied. But before leaving, I walked around a little more. I like observing people. It teaches me many things. I saw a child holding his mother's hand. I saw an old man walking slowly. I saw a group of friends talking and smiling. Life was moving in different ways. Finally, I decided to go home. My bag was a little heavy, but I didn't mind. On my way back, I walked slowly. I was not in a hurry. I enjoyed the moment. The sun was a little brighter now. The streets were more crowded, but I felt calm. When I reached home, I put the bag down. I took a deep breath. I felt relaxed. I went to the kitchen. I kept everything in place. Vegetables in one corner, fruits in another, milk in the fridge. The kitchen looked full again. That made me happy. After that, I drank some water and sat down for a few minutes. It was a simple trip, a normal task, but it felt good. Sometimes we think only big things are important, but small moments also matter. A walk to the market, a short conversation, a simple meal. These things bring peace. Life is not always about big success. Sometimes it is about small happiness. That day, I didn't do anything special, but I felt calm, and that was enough. Today, I want to tell you a simple story, a story about a normal day, a day when I went to the grocery store. It was a quiet morning. The sunlight was soft. The air felt fresh. I woke up slowly. I stretched my body, and I looked around my room. Everything felt calm. After a few minutes, I got out of bed. I walked to the kitchen. I opened the fridge, and I noticed something important. There was not much food. Some vegetables were missing. There was no milk, no fruits. The shelves looked almost empty. I stood there for a moment, and I thought, I need to go to the grocery store. I made a simple plan. First, I would get ready. Then I would make a list, and after that, I would go out. I washed my face. The cold water helped me wake up. I brushed my hair, and I wore comfortable clothes. Something simple, something easy. Then I went back to the kitchen. I took a small piece of paper and I started writing. Milk, bread, eggs, rice, vegetables, fruits. I tried to remember everything I needed. I checked the kitchen again. I looked inside the cabinets. I opened the fridge one more time. I did not want to forget anything. When my list was ready, I picked up my bag. I checked my wallet, and I was ready to leave. I stepped outside my home. The street was calm. A few people were walking. Some shops were open. The day had just begun. I started walking slowly. I enjoyed the fresh air. I looked around. I saw trees, small shops, and people starting their day. After some time, I reached the grocery store. It was not very big, but it had everything I needed. I walked inside. The air felt cool. The lights were bright. Everything was clean and organized. I took a basket, and I looked at my list. First, I went to the fruits section. There were many colors: red apples, yellow bananas, green grapes. Everything looked fresh. I picked up some apples. I checked them carefully. I wanted the best ones. Then I took some bananas and a few oranges. Next, I moved to the vegetables section. There were tomatoes, potatoes, onions, carrots, spinach, and more. I chose some fresh vegetables. I looked at their color. I touched them gently. I wanted them to be fresh. Then I walked to the dairy section. I picked up milk. I also took some butter and a box of eggs. After that, I went to the bread section. There were many types of bread: white bread, brown bread, fresh bread. I chose one pack. I continued walking slowly through the store. I looked at different items. Sometimes I stopped and thought, do I really need this? I tried not to buy too much, only what I needed. After some time, my basket was full. I looked at my list again. Everything was there. Then I walked to the billing counter. I waited in line. There were a few people in front of me. I stood quietly. I looked around. I listened to the small sounds: people moving, items scanning, soft background music. Soon it was my turn. I placed my items on the counter. I watched as everything was scanned. After that, I paid for my groceries. I packed everything carefully, and I picked up my bag. Then I walked out of the store. The sunlight felt warm. The air felt fresh again. I started walking back home. My bag was a little heavy, but I didn't mind. I felt good. I felt satisfied. I had done something simple but important. When I reached home, I placed everything in the kitchen. I arranged the fruits. I kept the vegetables in the fridge. I organized everything slowly. The kitchen looked full again. It felt nice. It felt complete. I sat down for a moment. I took a deep breath, and I smiled. Sometimes simple things make us feel happy. A small trip, a simple task, a quiet moment. That day I learned something. Even a simple grocery trip can feel peaceful if we slow down and enjoy the moment. Now take a deep breath. You did a great job listening. If you didn't understand everything, that is okay. Listen again. Practice every day, and your English will improve. Thank you for listening. See you in the next practice.